Ever get that nagging feeling you're not quite connecting with your audience or, your customers? Like maybe you're making decisions based more on guesswork than real understanding.
Yeah, that's a common challenge, and it's exactly what we're digging into today.
Right. Because making those good choices really depends on knowing what people actually think.
Precisely. And that's where surveys, when done well, can be incredibly powerful tools. We're looking at the secrets to using surveys for better insights. It's by Kalyani Rajay from Cognitive Market Research.
Published back in November 24. And the key thing here isn't just doing surveys, is it? It's about doing them effectively.
Exactly, to get those real, actionable insights.
So our mission for this deep dive is simple. Give you the practical know-how to build surveys that actually work. Surveys that get meaningful data, respect people's time, and ultimately help you make better decisions.
Okay, where should we start?
Well, the article kicks off right away, emphasizing just how crucial a clear objective is. Like, absolutely fundamental.
It really is the bedrock. Think of it like your compass for the whole project.
A compass, yeah. I like that.
Because that objective, it dictates, well, everything. The questions you ask, who you ask.
How you even look at the results later.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you know precisely what you need to find out, maybe it's customer satisfaction with a new feature, or perhaps spotting market trends, or even gauging employee morale.
Then you can tailor the questions specifically for that.
You got it. You're getting pertinent, actionable information directly related to that goal.
And it creates focus, right?
Yeah.
The article mentions this, helps you cut out the fluff, the unnecessary questions.
Absolutely. Which is huge. Nobody enjoys a rambling survey. Keeping it tight, focused. It shows you value the respondent's time.
Which, let's be honest, probably boosts how many people actually finish it.
Oh, significantly.
Yeah.
Better response rates. But it's not just about the numbers.
What else?
It's about the quality. When the objective is clear, analyzing the data becomes, well, much more straightforward.
Because you know what you're looking for.
Precisely. You're looking for insights that speak directly to your initial goal. It makes finding those key takeaways much easier. It's like a filter.
A filter for you, the creator.
Right. Stops you from going off on tangents. Keeps it tight.
And for the person taking it, too. Makes it feel less random.
Exactly. They see the purpose, feel their time is valued, they engage more, better answers. Think focused workshop versus just brainstorming wildly.
Okay, so clear, objective, focused questions, better responses, cleaner analysis. Makes sense.
And there's one more link in that chain.
Which is?
Making sure the results actually connect back to the bigger picture, your overall business strategy.
So it's not just data floating in space. It needs to plug in somewhere.
Exactly. If your goal is improving customer experience, or maybe refining a product or streamlining operations.
The survey results should directly feed into those decisions.
Right. Otherwise, you just end up with a pile of data that's, frankly, hard to interpret. The article warns about that aimless surveys. They're just a waste of time and resources.
Okay, point taken. Nail down the objective first. Crystal clear. Got it. So once that's locked in, how do we actually write questions that get us the good stuff, the meaningful answers?
Right. The article highlights 3 core principles here.
Okay.
Neutrality, relevance, and clarity.
Let's break those down. Clarity seems pretty obvious, but maybe it's trickier than it sounds.
It can be. It means using really straightforward language.
Yeah.
Unambiguous. You absolutely have to avoid jargon, technical terms people might not know, or really complex sentence structures.
Keep it simple.
As simple and direct as possible. The easier it is to understand the question, the better the answer you'll likely get.
You don't want people getting stuck just trying to figure out what you're asking. Okay, clarity. What about relevance? We touched on this with the objective.
We did. And it applies right down to the individual question level.
Yeah.
Every single question must have a purpose.
Must tie back to that main goal.
Directly. Ask yourself, what specific information will this question give me? And how does it help achieve my objective? If you can't answer that clearly,
Ditch the question.
probably. It keeps the survey focused, prevents that fatigue we talked about.
Yeah.
Every question needs to pull its weight.
Okay. Clarity, relevance, and neutrality. This sounds important for avoiding skewed results.
Hugely important. It's about phrasing questions so they don't subtly push the respondent towards a particular answer. You want their genuine thoughts, not what they think you want to hear.
The article had a good example of this, didn't it?
It did. The contrast between how satisfied are you with our excellent customer service, which is obviously leading,
Yeah, clearly bias.
versus the neutral version. How would you rate our customer service? Much cleaner. Gets a more honest response.
It seems simple, but I can see how easy it would be to accidentally inject that bias.
It's very easy. Even small word choices matter. Neutrality is key for getting that true picture.
Okay. Now, the article also talks about using a mix of question types, open-ended and closed-ended. Why is that mix so valuable?
Well, they each bring something different to the table. Closed-ended questions, think multiple choice, rating scales, that sort of thing.
The ones with predefined answers.
Exactly. They give you structured, quantifiable data. Numbers. Easy to categorize, easy to compare. Like that 1 to 5 satisfaction scale. Give you a quick read, lets you track trends.
So great for the what, the metrics, the benchmarks.
Precisely. But they don't always tell you the why.
Ah, and that's where open-ended questions come in.
That's their strength. They let people express themselves in their own words. You can uncover really rich, detailed insights, things you might never have thought to put in a multiple choice list.
Like asking, what could we improve, instead of just rating features.
Exactly. You get specific suggestions, identify pain points you weren't aware of, much richer texture to the data.
So it sounds like you really need both for a complete picture. Closed for structure, open for depth.
That's the ideal, yes. The closed questions give you the framework, the quantitative backbone. The open questions add the context, the nuance, sometimes the real surprises. Using both strategically gives you that balanced view, a much more complete understanding.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Right, so clear objective, check. Meaningful questions, neutral, relevant, clear, good mix, check. Who are we actually asking? Identifying the right audience is next.
And this loops right back to relevance, doesn't it?
Hmm.
You need the people whose opinions actually matter for your objective.
So step one is defining that target demographic.
Based on your goals, age, location, maybe occupation, gender, whatever characteristics fit. If you're surveying about, say, a new app for teens.
You survey teens. Obvious enough.
Right. But the article suggests going deeper with segmentation.
Segmentation, what does that involve?
It's about dividing your potential respondents into more specific groups.
Yeah.
Based on things like how often they buy from you, or their loyalty level, or maybe specific needs they have.
Okay, why do that?
It lets you tailor the questions even more, make them super relevant to that specific group's experience.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine a software company. They sell a basic version and a premium one. Their overall demographic might be small businesses. But if they're surveying about new features, they could segment into basic users, premium users, and maybe people who haven't bought yet.
Ah, I see. And you'd ask different things to each group.
Exactly. The premium user gets questions about advanced features, the basic user about potential upgrades, the prospect about what might convince them to buy. Much more targeted feedback.
Way more useful than a generic survey to everyone. Okay, segmentation makes sense. How do we find these people, these segments?
Well, the article suggests looking at data you probably already have. Your CRM system, for instance.
Customer databases.
Right, or social media followers. Maybe industry forums or groups where your audience hangs out. The key is knowing where they are active.
And then thinking about how you'll actually deliver the survey.
Yes, online, phone, in person. That choice impacts who you reach and how they engage too.
Which leads us nicely into the next point.
Yeah.
Choosing the right mode for the survey, how you actually get it out there.
Another critical decision. You're weighing up how to best reach people versus how likely they are to actually respond through that channel.
And audience habits are key here.
Absolutely paramount. Think about your target group. Are they constantly online? A younger audience might respond well to an online survey, maybe via social media.
Whereas an older group might prefer...
What?
A phone call? Mail?
Potentially, yes. Or maybe they're comfortable online too, but prefer email. You need to consider their tech comfort levels, their daily routines.
And it's not just the audience, but the survey itself. The questions influence the mode.
They do. If it's mostly tick boxes, scales, quantitative stuff.
Online works well. Easy distribution, easy collection.
Right. Super efficient for large numbers. But if you need deeper discussion, more complex, open-ended questions where you might need to probe a bit.
Then maybe a phone call or even face-to-face is better.
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
Allows for that back and forth. Also, the article mentions looking at past performance.
Learning from what worked before.
Exactly.
Oh.
Did a previous online survey flop, but phone interviews worked well? Use that data. And then, of course, there are the practicalities.
Budget and resources, always a factor.
Always. You need to balance reaching the right people effectively with what's actually feasible for you to execute.
Okay. Audience identified, mode selected. Now, Keeping people interested once they start the survey. How do we make it engaging, user-friendly? This seems vital for getting good completion rates.
It's absolutely vital. You want thoughtful answers, not rushed ones from someone who's bored or frustrated. Presentation matters.
How so?
A clean, appealing layout, easy to navigate, think consistent fonts, clear headings, maybe use color appropriately, make it look professional and uncluttered.
And progress bars. Do they help?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Simple thing, but showing people how far they've got, how much is left, it manages expectations, reduces frustration, encourages them to finish.
Nobody likes a survey that feels endless.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to conciseness, right?
Yes, again, only ask what's necessary. Stick to the objective. Keep the number of questions manageable. Respect their time.
And limit the heavy lifting questions, like too many open-ended ones.
That can help, yes. Open-ended questions take more effort. Use them strategically where you really need that depth, but lean on closed-ended for efficiency where possible. Makes it easier for them and easier for your analysis later.
What about personalization? The article mentioned that.
Yeah, that can be effective. If you can, use their name, maybe tailor some questions based on, say, their previous purchases or interactions with you.
Makes it feel less anonymous, more valued.
Exactly. And don't underestimate incentives.
Ah, the reward.
Rewards can make a real difference. A small discount, entry into a draw, maybe early access to something. It gives people a tangible reason to participate.
Good tips. And one final check before launching it wide. Pilot testing.
Crucial step. Always pilot test with a small group first. People who match your target audience.
Why is that so important?
It's your dress rehearsal. It helps you catch problems. Are any questions confusing? Is the flow awkward? Are there technical glitches on the online platform?
Find the bugs before everyone else does.
Exactly. Get feedback, refine it, fix issues. Ensures a much smoother experience when you do the full launch. It's a quality control check.
Makes total sense. Do the groundwork. Okay, so we've covered a lot on how to build the survey. The article then circles back to really underline how the types of questions impact the quality of the insights you get.
Yes, bringing it all together. We talked about closed-ended questions, giving you that quantifiable data.
Easy to analyze, good for comparisons, tracking metrics, but maybe lacks depth.
Right. Give you valuable numbers, benchmarks, the what, but it doesn't always capture the nuance, the why.
And open-ended questions fill that gap.
They do. They provide the rich, qualitative detail. People use their own words. You uncover motivations, emotions, specific ideas, things you wouldn't get from a scale of 1 to 5.
But harder to analyze systematically.
Requires a different approach, yes. More qualitative analysis. But the depth of insight can be tremendous.
So the real power comes from combining them.
That's what the article strongly suggests. The best insights often emerge when you blend both types strategically.
Like, ask for a rating first.
Use a closed-ended question for that benchmark, yes.
And then follow up with an open-ended, why did you give that rating?
Exactly. That combination gives you the measure and the reason behind it. The quantitative and the qualitative. You get the structure and the story.
Best of both worlds, leading to a much fuller understanding.
Precisely. A more comprehensive grasp of customer or audience opinions, which in turn fuels much more informed, effective decisions.
Okay, so let's recap. It really is a whole process, isn't it? Not just writing questions.
Definitely not. It starts way back with that super clear objective.
Then carefully crafting those questions, making sure they're neutral, relevant, clear, using that mix of open and closed,
Finding the right people to ask, the right audience, maybe using segmentation,
choosing the best way to reach them, the right mode.
and then focusing on the experience, making it engaging, user-friendly, maybe with personalization or incentives, and pilot testing.
Don't forget pilot testing. All these steps, as Kalyani Rajay points out, lead to much better insights.
It's the path from just collecting data to actually understanding your audience, making smarter choices because of it.
So a final thought for everyone listening. Think about the last survey you took, or maybe one you sent out. How well did it stick to these principles we've discussed? And, what difference did that make to your willingness to answer it properly, or to the value you think they got from it?
Yeah, that's a great question to reflect on. How effective was it, really? Definitely something to mull over for your next survey project.